Hi guys. So it's a costly week, this video, because of these cars just came back from the workshop.
Saved about 500 bucks.
You save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
4,000.
215, even more.
It's for 200 plus. 400 bucks of savings. Hi guys. So right now I am in my 520i and this car just came out from the workshop. It's going to be a painful week because both this and the 525, well, they are due for their service this week, and yeah, so this car went in first and did an oil change. We had to change the fuel float, the rear fuel float, because we found that it was leaking, and also little upgrade, installed M Sport anti-roll bar. So if you recall from my previous video, one of my earlier videos on this car, I did a full conversion of the springs and absorbers to M Sport setup, and now I've installed the anti-roll bars to complete the whole transformation. And what is really surprising is the difference that it made to the handling, because before this, when I had the when I went from the previous setup to the M Sport setup, I noticed an increase in the ride stiffness. So the car feels firmer, all right, the ride was a bit busier, but still acceptable for day-to-day driving. But now with the M Sport anti-roll bars in place, quite surprisingly, I feel that the ride comfort has improved. It is no longer as busy as before, and yet at the same time, the body control around bends, it feels more assured, more inspired, more inspiring of my confidence. So I've had this car back for a day now, and I actually enjoy taking it around the bends quite a bit more than I did before. So that is very positive. Now, something to watch out for with before handing the car back to me, the mechanic's side tells me that he did a scan on he did a diagnostics through the OBD, and it returns the error code that the engine was misfiring, although it's running normally. There's no feeling of misfire, there's no feeling of loss of power. The engine is still pulling with its usual strength. So it could be a one-off thing, I don't know, but keeping my pulse on this, and probably send the car back for another diagnostic in a month's time, just to see if the error code recurs or not. Then there's also still the persistent issue of the ABS and traction control light coming on, which indicates a fault with a wheel speed sensor or the ABS module. But the thing is that I've already replaced the affected wheel speed sensor, which is the front right wheel speed sensor, and the light's still coming back. So I'm praying hard that it's not an issue with the ABS module, because that would be a bit more of an expensive fix. Alright, so as I said, did the oil change. The car is now running on Camloop 10W40. Have been using this for most of my ownership of this car. Very happy with the performance of the oil, and I'm continuing to use it right now. So the 525 is now in the workshop as I record this, and thus far, I think about 2-3 weeks running that car has not given me any issues at all. I'm just sending it in because it's just due for its next oil change. But of course, I've asked site to give the car a thorough look through to see if there's anything that needs to be, any leaks, any hoses that needs changing. The only thing thus far I see right now is that the seat adjustment mechanism, well, that needs to be sorted out. And yeah, and also the other thing is I'm also upgrading the front brakes to 530i specification. That's something I already did for this car, and now I'm making the same thing for the 525. It is an upgrade that I highly advise any E39 owner any lower spec E39 owner to perform on their car, because it significantly improves the braking performance of the car, the braking power, but does not sacrifice the response. It still has the same linear response. It still has that easy to modulate nature of it. So for me, I look at it as a no compromise upgrade, and it's something that you can't. It's a kind of upgrade that you can't go wrong with. Okay, so that's a quick update of my two E39s now, and I shall check back in with you guys after the 525 comes out from the workshop and see what the final build will be like. Okay guys, so now I'm over back into my 525, and this car also just checked out of the workshop last night. And so for this car, full check on it, needs nothing more than an oil change, topped up some aircon gas, that's it. Okay, well, I did indulge in upgrading the front brakes to 530i discs, which are larger and therefore give the car better stopping power. But in total, that really was it. There is nothing else in this car that requires replacement or fixing. Okay, well, this seat mechanism still is not done yet. The cause of this is traced to the supporting strut, which basically has lost hydraulic pressure, so that needs to be replaced, and that needs a bit of time to source. But that aside, there's nothing else really. So overall total bill, I calculated yesterday, total bill of both cars, both my E39 into the workshop, even if after I added in all the extra parts that I bought and brought there, right, was less than 4,000 ringgit. Okay, if I add the tires and the wheels that I installed into the 520i, those cost about 5,000, just under 5,000. So the net spend in doing up both my E39s simultaneously clocked up to less than 10,000 ringgit, and it could quite easily have been less, because if I had not, I could have settled for cheaper rims perhaps. I could have put off the 3.0 front brake upgrades. That would have probably saved me about, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 ringgit. Would have been half the bill. Okay, so really, yeah, it wasn't too bad at all, living with two E39s. Guys, so looks like the 525 here is not entirely out of the woods yet. So let me recount what happened. Last week, after checking the car out from the workshop, I brought it on a weekend morning drive to Kuala Kubu Baru. Car ran like a champ. No issues, drove beautifully. Then later in the evening, I even asked my wife to take the car out for, to go do her grocery runs. Once again, yeah, brought her out and back, no issues. But she did tell me that there was a weird whirring sound from the air conditioning system which I suspected that, you know, maybe the compressor is in need of a look, because this car's air conditioning really does not feel as cold as the silver one. So I had the feeling that the air conditioning system is probably on the last legs of its life. So never mind. I brought, so that day, so the car wasn't used the following day, and the day after that, which was Tuesday, yeah, which was yesterday lah. So I wanted to take this car out for work, and what you call it, and along the way, I think less than 1 or 2 kilometers out of home, I heard that sound my wife was talking about. It was the loud whirring noise. So immediately I switched off the aircon and I changed course to visit Alpha Aircon, Kelvin's shop, right? Which is very near my house. You would know his place from Chris V's videos. He looked at it and he told me that, well, there's a bigger problem because it looks like I have an issue with the thermostat. And how he came to that conclusion was that the speed, the radiator fan was running at high speed, but the coolant is still cold. So he touched the expansion tank and I said that the coolant is still cold. So he said you are looking at an issue with the thermostat, and he says the car is still drivable for short distances, but it's best to have it checked. So so from there I drove it to Kenzone SS6, which is very nearby, less than 2 kilometers away. And the diagnosis there was that he looked at it, and what he did first was that he actually tackled the sound, and we found that, yeah, the aircon compressor is in need. The oil level in the aircon compressor is low, so he changed the oil of the aircon compressor, he topped up gas, he did the vacuum cleaning of the aircon compressor. So the aircon now actually runs fine, it runs cold. But last night I feel like I didn't want to ignore Kelvin's warning on the thermostat. So last night, late night, I took the car out for a drive and I accessed the hidden menus of the instrument cluster to look at the specific temperature reading. You see, because the thing with the E39's temperature gauge is that it points dead center. Whether you are running at 175 degrees Celsius or up to 110 degrees Celsius, the needle points straight. The moment the needle starts to move, your engine is already screwed because it's already, you know, well underway to overheating. So the funny thing is, the temperature usually, right, the E39's engine operates at a range of about 96 to 97 degrees Celsius. I've observed this many times in my 520i. This guy, late at night, was averaging about 102, 103 degrees Celsius. It's stable at that temperature, but it doesn't go down below that. So I'm thinking, you know, it's time. So I'm just going to have to take a slow drive to site to let him have a look, okay? And I left home just now. Yep. And I accessed the hidden menus, and true enough, the temperature just went from 0 and eventually started rising to about 105, 106. So 105 was my cutoff point to pull aside, stop, let the engine cool down. So I've been here for about 10 minutes and the temperature's dropped to 99 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna let it drop a bit further. I'm gonna see if it drops a bit further than this. If it doesn't, I may just consider, you know, to do it safe and call in a tow truck. So now I'm back underway again, and the temperature now is holding steady at about 98, 99. It occasionally I'm seeing 100, but so it shows that the cooling system is working, but it's kind of like flirting with danger a bit. So for complete peace of mind, I'm just going to take this back to the site, ask him to have a look at the critical systems, right? The thermostat, the clutch fan, check. There were no coolant leaks the last time we checked, but just look over the entire system again, see if there's something he may have missed out the previous round, or something that just newly developed perhaps during my exuberant weekend drive. So you see right now I'm maintaining steady throttle, 2000 RPM, 50 kilometers per hour, and the temperature is holding still at 99 degrees Celsius. So there's still some cooling effect in there from the radiator that is helping to maintain the temperature. So it's not shooting up, but yeah, it's definitely puts my mind at greater ease if this were to be inspected. So you see right now I'm stationary at a red light, and yeah, the temperature is still steady at 98, 99 degrees Celsius. Anyways, right now I'm quite safe really, because I'm like I'm at the last 1-2 kilometers to Side's place, so we are good.
Really too much for me.
What'll I do? What'll I do? What'll I do?
I drove this car to site and asked him to check the cooling system again, and true enough, it was an issue with the thermostat. It's not fully dead, but it's already starting to not open properly, and as a result the car still had cooling, but it wasn't cooling properly. In fact, the whole journey from my house to Side's place, my eyes were fixated on the hidden menus, the exact temperature reading. So the temperature went as high as 105, after which I stopped one side, let the engine cool down a bit, and I drove again, and I saw that the temperature was settling at about 98 to 100 Celsius. So it's still high, but I can see that, you know, hey, there's a cooling effect in place. So I know that the cooling system was working, just not perfectly. And yeah, so we got a thermostat changed, we changed some hoses, we changed the expansion tank, we changed the radiator cap, and now I'm looking at the exact temperature reading. It shows 94. You know, it's holding stable exactly where I want it to be. So this car now feels it's good. I can't tell you the bill, how much the bill is for the cooling system, right? Because Site hasn't sent me the bill. But I know that it's the thermostat costs about 290 ringgit, and the other things I'm still waiting for the bill. But as of now, the car is running fine. Even before this, while I was still driving with a semi-faulty thermostat, the engine was behaving fine. There was no loss in performance. So I believe that what I was facing was just the thermostat nearing the end of its life, but not quite there yet. So in a way, I was very lucky that that it lasted as long as it did. It lasted without a hitch. On my weekend drive to KKB, it lasted without a hitch. And my wife drove it for a grocery run, and you know, it only showed signs of failure after all that was done. So in that sense, I'm very thankful. You know, some people will say that, oh wow, your car thinks this thing spoiled again. But you know, I've learned to look at it in a more positive light, right? It's like, hey, I'm thankful that it went without problems during a weekend drive, and now everything is sorted. So, and I believe for not very expensive. So yeah, all else happy with it. It did nudge the total repair bills of both my cars collectively past 4,000 ringgit, but yeah, overall I'm good. So these two cars are sorted, and my temperature there ran from 94, 95, 94, 95, so stable.